draft and they announced the NFL's Oakland Raiders have drafted da-da-da-da-da-da. If that were the case, would you be cheering for this hire or would you be booing this hire? Are Raider fans satisfied with the search put on by Reggie McKenzie and what that search has netted the organization? I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Dennis Allen, the new head coach, Broncos defensive coordinator. Now, we all know the Broncos were a good team defensively this year. We always think of the Broncos, throw it through the air all those years, run it on the ground. The Broncos became a very, very good defensive team with Dennis Allen at the helm. Is it short-sighted to just go and get yourself a defensive-minded head coach? What is that going to mean for the style of offense they run? What does it mean when you consider that you went and got Carson Palmer with the idea in mind that he meshes well with Hugh Jackson, and Hugh Jackson's no longer here? Doesn't that just compound what I think most people would agree now was a bad deal by the Raiders? We'll get into that coming up in a couple minutes. We'll talk about it with Chris McClain from SBReport.net, live from the Pro Bowl in Honolulu. Did we change it? Didn't I just say Silver and Black Report? What, you playing games on me? It's SB Report? Okay, SBReport.net. We'll talk to him coming up in a couple of minutes and get his thoughts. We'll get his thoughts on the on this hire by the Raiders. Will 795, Chris McClain on the other side from the Pro Bowl in Honolulu from SBReport.net. We'll get to him live in Honolulu next with Jason Page and you hanging out Sunday afternoon. 95.7 The Game, the Bay Area's only FM sports station. Hello, I'm Sports on FM at night.
60 choke in franchise history. It goes to the Raider Nation from the USC Trojans. Raider Nation, please give it up for head coach Lane Kiffin.
Today, Raiders, they made it official, naming Tom Cable as their new head coach. What do you think? Is he the guy to lead the Raiders back to excellence?
I think this is a good decision by Al Davis, making him the head coach.
I want you to meet the new head coach of the Oakland Raiders. I'm proud as hell. Hugh Jackson.
Thank you, Coach. Standing room only, almost.
We're building a bully here.
Good to have you along on this Sunday afternoon. By the way, Miami Heat beat the Chicago Bulls. 97-93 was the final. I need to get into some NBA stuff a little later on. Talk about the Warriors, too. Coming up. There's a guy who's in a much better place than San Francisco.
Oh, here he comes.
There is someplace better to be than San Francisco today. It's Honolulu for the Pro Bowl, which after a year of trying to play it at the site of the Super Bowl, they decided to put it back in Honolulu.
There's nothing to see. You just gotta
that's
listen.
where Chris McClain is. He from SBReport.net. He is live at the Pro Bowl in Honolulu, which gets started in about 45 minutes, and he joins us now on the hotline for a few minutes. Chris, it's Jason Page. You're on 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jason. How's it going?
Is it afternoon or is it still morning there?
It is afternoon. It's about 1:15 right now.
All right. I didn't know how big the time difference was from here to Honolulu. Thanks for a few minutes today. Listen, it'll become official tomorrow. I mean, it's already official, but they'll introduce Dennis Allen as the new head coach of the Raiders tomorrow. In hearing, and checking out the message boards or hearing what fans are saying, is this the hire that fans really wanted when all was said and done?
Well, I think when it originally came out, fans were a little disappointed because he wasn't well known amongst the fans. I think one thing that really sticks out, though, is that he's the first defensive-minded coach that has been a Raider head coach since John Madden in 1969. And the defense has really been the Achilles heel of the Raiders for the past 8 years or so.
Well, penalties have been the Achilles heel. I mean, how do you bring in this guy? How does he change the culture? And I guess this is a question best suited for him, and I'm sure somebody will ask it at the press conference tomorrow. But how does he go about changing? And you heard Reggie McKenzie use the term, his opening press conference, and it's something I was screaming about months ago, is they needed to change the culture in Oakland. They brought in a former Raider to run the organization in Reggie McKenzie. Now they go outside the organization, bringing a guy like Dennis Allen. How do they go about changing the culture?
You know, that's something that starts from the top. It starts with the GM and then trickles down to the head coaches, to the players. And Dennis Allen is a disciplinarian. I mean, earlier this season he benched Von Miller because he wasn't playing well. So he's been known to be hard-nosed, really energetic, and a disciplinarian amongst the NFL minds.
Talking with Chris McClain from SBReport.net. He is live at the Pro Bowl in Honolulu, which gets started in about 40 minutes. I made the argument when it came to Chuck Bresnahan, and some people agreed, some people disagreed. Coaches don't just get stupid overnight. Unless you suddenly become senile or you really lose your mind. It's hard for me to believe that coaches get dumb overnight. Is that the case with Bresnahan? Is it a matter of the guys that they had from a personnel standpoint? You could bring in Dennis Allen, a guy who's a defensive-minded coach. If they don't have the players to perform to the standards he's looking for, what does it really matter?
Well, it's a combination of both. I mean, it's a combination of the scheme that was being ran and the players not executing correctly. Players they didn't maintain gap control, and they just weren't playing up to the level that they were expected to.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's a personnel matter. And I know it's easy. Like, again, you can't fire 11 guys on defense. It's much easier to fire a coordinator. It's the same thing with a head coach. You can't fire 40 guys off a team. It's much easier to fire a head coach. That's always the easy scapegoat. But in the case of the Raiders, you got to look at Reggie McKenzie in concert with Dennis Allen and say, they've got to go out and put the right players on this team, put the right pieces in place with this team, or it's not going to really matter.
Which I think you might see this offseason a major turnover, especially on the defensive side. I think McKenzie's going to, try and get some more draft picks, maybe trade some players off for those, because in his press conference he stated that he likes draft picks, and right now he doesn't have very much ammunition for the draft right now.
Well, you bring up an interesting point with trading for draft picks, because, again, they lost a lot in terms of their ability to draft guys vis-a-vis the Carson Palmer deal here over the next couple of years. If that's the case, who seems to be the biggest prize that the Raiders have that teams would be willing to give up those draft picks for?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that recently, and it's tough to say because a lot of players have big contracts that teams might not be willing to pay for. But the fact that a lot of the players have been underachieving means they could very well be on the way out. Rolando McClain's been a name that's been tossed out there, but who knows how much trade value he is, especially with his regular season legal problems. So it's all remains to be seen this offseason. It should be an interesting offseason.
How about in terms of the running game? We all know about with Darren McFadden and the injuries and his inability to get through an entire season without being hurt and what that means in terms of what this club tries to do with a guy like Michael Bush. Any thoughts yet as to what the Raiders do in terms of the running game right now?
With McFadden's injury problems, it's hard to just let Michael Bush walk away, but if they do, they're going to have to get another reliable backup right now, because as of right now, McFadden's a liability, and you can't... Tywan Jones, he's quick, but he's still going into second year, didn't get many snaps last season, so either they pay Bush, or they're going to have to get another reliable backup. But Bush, he might be looking to be a starter somewhere, so it's hard to say how much he's going to be asking for.
Could they get anything for McFadden? Would they even dare to trade him?
I think they would get something. I mean, when healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the league. He's definitely top 10 when healthy. I think he's probably even top 5. In the beginning of the season, he was explosive, and then that foot injury just knocked him out since October. The problem is, I'm not sure how much they could get for him because of the health issues. But if they pursue that, it'll be interesting to see what they get offered.
Talking with Chris McClain from SBReport.net. He's live at the Pro Bowl in Honolulu. One more before I let you go. This team went and got Carson Palmer because of the idea that he could work with Hugh Jackson. Because of the idea that those two had a kinship of sorts. There was an idea of those two being in sync and what Carson would be able to do. And at times he showed flashes this year. What is the level of concern now with what kind of offense Dennis Allen and his new coaching staff's going to want to implement, how that affects Carson Palmer, given as much as they gave up for him.
It remains to be seen. I mean, Reggie McKenzie comes from the Packers organization where they run a West Coast style offense, and Palmer is a better quarterback that's suited for throwing the ball deep downfield. So it remains to be seen how well he will fit the West Coast offense if that's what McKenzie and Dennis Allen decide to implement. So, I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting. At least he'll have an off-season and a training camp and OTAs and all that to get situated with his team. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Chris McClain, enjoying Honolulu. Did you get to go there for more than one day, or are you going to get a couple days in there?
You know, I left early Friday morning, got here Friday about noon, so I've been enjoying it since.
All right, good stuff. Appreciate it.
Yeah.